Hello again. My first video, I got some views. I got a subscriber. Thank you for doing that. And I think I might keep doing this and, not just talk about 40K, which is like my main focus on things, but, some of the other interests I have. In this video, I'm going to talk about podcasts, my experience with them, and the stuff I like about it, and general conversation about podcasts. Nothing like super detailed or delving into the history of the form or anything like that, but just my personal experience with them. So I did not listen to any podcasts, like I just wasn't aware of them until 2017. At the beginning of the year, work had slowed down at my business to the point where I was pushed to part time. I had to pick up a second job. That second job was with a company where you go around in the evenings picking up trash at apartment complexes and then dumping them in a dumpster. So from 7 p.m. to midnight, I would just walk around apartment complexes picking up trash. And I like music. Everybody likes music, but I have to keep thinking. It's weird to say that, but like my brain has to have its gears turning constantly for me to not get super bored or depressed. And so listening to music wasn't really an option for me. I've never really been into audiobooks. There's some I really like, ones that have performances, but in general, just listening to someone recite a book doesn't really interest me. The My friend that does the most of the GMing for our RPG gaming group had talked about podcasts before, and he said, hey, maybe you should try this out. And I was like, well, which ones would you recommend? The main one was Wolf 359, which is a radio drama that it's been over for a while now. It had 4 seasons, and it's phenomenal. It's well worth the listen. I highly recommend you check it out. I believe that the creators have a new project coming out. I think it's called Zero Hour. If I'm wrong, please don't hate me for it. But Wolf 359 was amazing. And then he told me that there are actual play podcasts, podcasts where people play a tabletop RPG and record it. And that interested me. He gave me some that he listened to. I didn't get into a lot of them, so I just Googled, systems that I like. I just Googled, actual play podcasts, and the first thing I found was the One Shot Network and Campaign and the One Shot series, and I got really, really invested in that. One Shot is phenomenal for showcasing all these different systems, having all of these different, not just players, but improv performers, and just, really got me involved. And then Campaign, of course, was their long form, storytelling initially set in the Star Wars universe before that ended and it moved to a homebrew system created by James D'Amato. I got into it. This is just basically what I would listen to, either at my, part-time job, or when I was working my regular job. I would have to drive, dozens, if not, hundreds of miles a day throughout this huge urban area I live in, and this would just be what I would listen to. The big one I got into, which I mentioned in my last video, was, of course, Neoscum. Neoscum is set in the Shadowrun universe, which Shadowrun is a system that's very dear to me, even though it's objectively not great, mechanically. But I really got into it more so for the performers. It very much reminded me of the mechanics that my long-standing Earth Dawn campaign of 17 years, if you can believe that, had with between the players. Just the way everybody interacted, the way the game was played, it made me, feel like I was listening to, recordings of old games I played in. So I just loved it. I never really got into a lot of I know podcasting is such a huge field, from politics to reviews to, true crime, all kinds of stuff. I've stuck with actual play podcasts for the most part because it's to me it's this really innovative way of entertainment. You have uh, typically people with some kind of performance, creative, background, participating in a setting that's broadly accessible. I can listen to something like Neoscum because I know Shadowrun. I've read the Shadowrun books. I've played Shadowrun games before. I don't need to get exposed to this whole new world off the top, just to participate. It's a low price of entry. But even with, systems I'm not familiar with, going back to One Shot, for example, typically there's enough of an explanation provided, and I'm familiar enough with, tabletop RPGs as a whole that I am able to, generally understand what's happening, generally understand the concept, the rules involved, and it's just a really accessible form of entertainment for me. I have said on my Twitter before that I think it's a unique form of art. I think everybody that listens to podcasts should do everything they can to support them, whether it be through Patreons, buying merchandise, whatever. Um, I was able to get my wife into it. Recently, we upgraded our phones. She is very stubborn about using her phone for non-phone things. She still has her iPod, like classic mini. I don't know anything about iPods. She has an iPod that's 1,000 years old, and she just is stuck with it. I try, I was like, hey, you can get into this, and she got into podcasts. She doesn't have a lot of RPG experience. She just recently started playing games, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Most of the stuff she listens to is more review based. She liked Sailor Business, the Sailor Moon review podcast, Movie Sign with the Mads by Trace Below and Frank Conniff. That's more her speed. It's just, I think it's really cool that there's this new kind of entertainment that, anybody can get into. There's content for everybody, and there's just a lot of different, different avenues you can go down. I have tried to expand my, interest in different varieties of podcasts. It hasn't really been successful. I don't know why. To me, I like actual play. It's kind of like listening to a TV show episode or a movie, and that's something that traditionally I've always done. Like, I like having TV playing in the background, when I'm working or doing something. I like even if it's something I've seen before, I just like to have a story going, so it's kind of like in the background and I'm consuming it while I'm doing something else. So anything that's gone past that. I think the only exception was there is a Fall of the Roman Empire SoundCloud / podcast I was listening to for a while. But yeah, overall, I haven't been able to change my mind on this. Maybe in the future I'll pick up, something that really catches my interest. But for now, it's basically just actual play podcasts. There are a variety of systems that I would love to see like serious long form play for. The biggest one for me is Mage the Ascension. I really like Mage the Ascension. I know it's ridiculous. It's a crazy system, and it's just an absolutely wackadoo way of playing, but I like the setting so much that I feel like a really strong actual play podcast would be super entertaining for it. Of course, you've already know that I'm a huge 40K person. I'm also a big Warhammer Fantasy Battles person. I would love to see an old world or 40K system go into an actual play podcast. One Shot did a month where they did the I want to say it was the Rogue Trader system. Wrath and Glory is the new 40K RPG system that's available now. I would love to see an actual play podcast for that. I'd love to see an actual play podcast for the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game. I think both of those settings are super rich. There's a lot of material to explore, And yeah, that's kind of a wish list for me, for, podcasts I'd like to see down the road. But it's not like it's something you can demand. There's no like, it's not like TV where there's people crying out for this material to be adapted. It's just groups of people playing a game and wanting to you know uh, record it and share it with people so they can get the same level of entertainment and fun that they're having playing the game. So someday maybe that'd be great, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to record another quick video as I take my break. And yeah, I'm going to try and keep doing these, when I have free time, talk about different subjects, probably still mostly 40K, but, other interests I have, including tabletop RPGs, things like that. So if you like these videos, like them. If you subscribe, cool. They're never going to be super professional because, yeah, I don't know how big I'm going to get into this, but I'm going to just keep doing them for a while because it's a nice creative outlet for me. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it.